Timex, it takes a licking and keeps on ticking.
Hey, 555ers, Andrew here. Welcome to the Timex Easy Reader Review. Merry Christmas to you and R.I.P. Harambe. So in this video, we're going to get into Timex's most ubiquitous watch, the watch that you probably see every time you go out. Timex has allegedly sold 100 million of these watches, and there is a reason for it. Yes, it does take a licking and keep on ticking, but there's a lot of design aspects that maybe don't meet the eye when you first get a glance at this watch. So we're going to get into the details of design, the build quality, and everything that you need to know if you're on the market for a Timex Easy Reader. The Timex Easy Reader comes in an unpretentious cardboard box and a nice plastic display stand, which you probably see straight away if you're buying this watch off of the shelf at your local Walmart. The watch itself says the key specifications on the dial and on the back, as we will get into. And what you see with the Timex Easy Reader is exactly what you get. You do learn a little bit more when you take a closer look at the plastic stand of the Timex Easy Reader. You can see that the movement's manufactured in the Philippines, the strap is from India, and the assembly is also in the Philippines. In this example, of course, a watch produced at this volume is going to be manufactured wherever Timex is able to get it done cheaply and reliably. Taking a look at the dial, we can see that there are serif Arabics at each hour marker, as well as second markers bordering the dial. The white dial itself, of course, here works really nicely with that date window at 3 o'clock, and you also have a very typical style of Timex Arabics within that aperture. Indiglow, of course, a huge feature on Timex watches, and a water resistance of 30 meters. We have black stick hands and a wand, conductor's wand style seconds hand here that, as you can see, is clicking pretty reliably in line with the actual indices. So that's pretty cool to see. Not perfect, but not bad. And of course, you get that noticeably loud Timex ticking. You may or may not be picking that up.
I don't like the Timex ticking. It's occasionally waking me up at night when it's on my desk in my room.
Depending on how you look at it, the Timex dial here is either a throwback to that late 70s classroom aesthetic, or maybe falling with the modernized Timex font here at the top, almost into an uncanny valley where there's a sense of time that's passed and a kind of sense that something has changed, although you can't put your finger on what it is. Compared to a more modern take on the classic Timex watch, such as this Waterbury design watch, which was a collaboration with Red Wing, you can see how plain the Easy Reader is. And for the right type of person who doesn't want any sort of special pretenses, the Easy Reader is a good, clean choice. In contrast, the Timex Waterbury, which was again a collaboration with Red Wing, has a lot more interesting features going on in terms of its indices and hands. Personally, I do like the military style of watch in comparison to the Easy Reader, but you can see how the Easy Reader has a more formal and simple design. As you can see when you look a little bit closer, these hands are painted and they appear to just be stamped. They're very light, and you do of course have, again, that metal seconds hand there, which is quite handsome and does draw your eye to the seconds, which I think is great. This is an example of watch typesetting that doesn't get worse when you look at it, but it doesn't get more interesting either. It's as simple and as bare bones as it gets, and I do think it is a little uncanny. You can date the watch as a more modern Timex certainly by the Caseback, where it reveals that, again, it has a stainless steel back, that we've got a CR216 cell battery here in this quartz watch, 18 millimeter lugs in this particular Timex model, and then the Timex website and the water resistance of 30 meters. And then, of course, the specific model of this Easy Reader, the T2H281. Talking the case size of the Timex Easy Reader, what you're looking at is a 35 millimeter case width. Now this is all dial, so it actually wears like a larger watch compared to most 35 millimeter watches, even though 35 millimeters by today's standards is certainly considerable and acceptable size for men's watches. You have an 18 millimeter wide lug width, and that's great just as far as having a lot of aftermarket support for watch straps. And then the thickness by my measurements is a pretty manageable 11 millimeters. The case itself is a plated brass material. So that means that eventually this chrome will chip and crack, except for the stainless steel back, and that's valuable as far as retaining that 30 meters of water resistance. Now, one other thing that's worth mentioning with this watch is its price. You can regularly get the Timex Easy Reader for around 35 bucks. And what's remarkable about that is that this watch has stayed this price for most of the life cycle of this watch since its inception, which was back in 1977. So it's really quite remarkable that a watch that's well over 40 years old is maintaining its place in the relative market, and I think it just shows how well it's satisfying its niche. An unmarked crown on the side is definitely one of the features that I would say shows the budget of the watch, and even with a careful touch, you can tell that this watch is going to take a careful set of hands to adjust, and adjusting the date in particular. The watch's strap is broken in by the stand that it comes in, but it is a stiff leather, and as you can tell is a filled leather, so eventually this leather will crack, and the fabric lining on the inside, probably foam lining actually, will be revealed. I expect that you could get probably about a year's worth of wear out of this strap before it gives up its ghost. So again, by comparison, the Timex Waterbury watch has a full grain leather strap, which allows for a lot more patina to show on the strap itself, as well as for the strap to just be maintained with more oils. This is a higher quality piece of leather that comes from a better part of the hide. Indiglow is a wonderful Timex feature that sets this watch apart from many of its affordable peers. It's incredibly consistent, and that blue luminescence is certainly warm and familiar to anyone who's owned a Timex. This will, of course, get dimmer over time as the battery dies, but it's a gradual dim, and it's actually a good indicator of battery status. If I was going to buy this model, I would probably keep it in the white dial so that I could easily switch it out for brown straps and have a little versatility, and keep this in my truck as a backup watch, or keep this in my office in a desk where you could easily reach for it on the off day that you forget to wear a watch. But I have to respect the countless people that wear a simple Timex like this every day, just for the simple purpose of knowing the time. Well, specifically the date and the time, and to see it in a very easy to read format. Switching out batteries are quite simple with common CR216 batteries. These are flat little batteries that you can easily get at a pharmacy. And as far as the tools and things that you need to swap out a battery, please check out my popular old video about how to change out batteries on a Timex. And I have changed the battery on a Timex Weekender, very similar to this one. I expect you would need to change the batteries about every 2 to 3 years. Wrapping things up, this is sort of a watch that it's hard to say anything about, in the same way that it's hard to say anything about a lot of classic ubiquitous designs. It's quite simple. There's nothing offensive about it. It lacks some of the verve and risk-taking that Timex has taken on some of their other recent designs. But on the other hand, this is a watch that you could wear and own for a long time, and when it wears out, you're certain to be able to find a equivalent replacement for it. I can imagine wearing the same watch for the entire span of your life in some form or variation, and there's something satisfying about that as well. Triple Fivers, I really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this review. When's the first time you saw a Timex Easy Reader? Was it your first watch? I would love to hear about it in the comments below. What was your first watch actually? I'd be curious about that. My first watch was actually another Timex. I've got it around, I don't remember the model, but it was a digital model. I'd be glad to hear from you in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to 555 Gear if you are new to the channel here or if you're a visitor. I would love to have you as a subscriber. And if you enjoy this type of content, please make sure to leave me a thumbs up. Guys, very Merry Christmas to you.